Hey there, it's Jody Sutter of the Sutter Company, and it's Just Ask Jody. It's that time when I take a question from an agency around an issue that they're having with business development, and I'll answer that question in 4 minutes or less. And today the question is, what do we do when a hot prospect stops responding? Well, it's a sucky situation, and we've all been there. And the first thing that I would tell you is to do a little mindset check and keep your mindset strong. Be sure that you're not allowing insecurity to get the better of you, and don't let it freak you out that this really awesome opportunity has suddenly gone cold. Because the reality is, sometimes it simply means that the client, that hot prospect, just has 1,000 other priorities that have displaced you off the priority list. And because of that, sometimes you simply need to move on. And by the way, this is where having a full pipeline can be really useful, or at least having a standard operating procedure and a strategy for filling or refilling that pipeline. Now, of course, you move on, but you don't abandon that prospect. You want to give them a little bit of a breathing room. Usually that's a span of months, and sometimes it can be a year or more. But you also want to make a plan for reconnecting, and that can be as simple as scheduling a future callback date in your CRM. The other thing that you want to do is you want to move them off of your hot prospect list onto your long-term nurturing list. You want to make sure that you include them in any kind of long-term nurturing program that you've set up. And for a lot of agencies, this is something like a regular email or a newsletter that you send out on a regular basis, filled with insights and thought leadership and useful information. If you feel like you haven't exhausted all immediate options, here are a few tactics that you could try. Now, first, what you can do is you can remind them why they wanted to talk to you in the first place. This also, however, assumes that you have done your job well in the sales process up to this point. And what I mean by that is that you've asked them good questions, you've listened carefully to their answers, together you've identified their core challenges and where you could help them, and you've also talked about the implications if they don't actually go ahead and solve those issues or address those challenges. So in this communication, you want to remind them of those implications and ask them, are they still important? Remind them that you're there to help them solve those problems. Another thing that you can do is also offer evidence, and usually that's going to be in the form of a case study. Offer evidence that you've addressed issues that are similar to the ones that they're facing. Here's how you did it, and here's the success that you saw with another similar client or clients. This helps sort of close the risk gap. Finally, before moving them to your long-term nurture list, you may want to try one last communication and play to their conscience a little bit and ask them, did you misinterpret their interest? Or maybe even call out what could be an awkward piece of news to deliver to you, which is the possibility that maybe they hired a different agency or went a different direction. By you calling out that possibility, it relieves some of that discomfort, relieves some of that burden, so they may be more likely to call you back and say, yeah, here's what happened. And then you at least get the intel, as well as an opportunity for further engagement, because just because they hired an agency now doesn't mean that they may come back to you in the future. And of course, if they are still interested, playing to their conscience a little bit may spur them into communicating, and at least you can re-engage them, find out why they haven't been responsive up to this point, and again, gather intel, and which will help you adjust your plan for ongoing communication and for eventually closing this business. So watching a hot prospect go cold is never fun, but there are strategies that you can use to try to re-engage them and reel them back in, or to simply make it easier to move on. Now, if you've got a question you'd like me to answer in another Just Ask Jody, you can email that to me at jody@thesuttercompany.com. See you next time.